Plebby16.
Good morning, plebheads. I'm Neo.
And I'm Mr. fucking YouTube, baby.
This is your morning porn. Today's episode, Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us Part 2, release dates revealed. Well, Mr. YouTube, it happened. We have official new release dates for The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. As shown on Sucker Punch Productions' Twitter, Ghost of Tsushima will now be moving out a few weeks to July 17th. For their release.
Yeah, they were June 26th,
Yeah,
weren't
June
they?
26th, something like that, yep.
So we're going back about 20 days, 21 days.
I think it's a good move, just with how uncertain things are in the world right now. And if we're able to, get more countries opened up and get things back, where we need them to be, it'll be perfect time to have, game release.
Yeah, I don't think that this is a huge issue. Look at your game calendar right now. You've got the big three, right? Doom Eternal, the Resident Evil 3 remake, and the Final Fantasy 7 remake. They all came out. So you can kind of get those cleaned up, and then you're going to have The Last of Us Part 2. They moved their release. And when did they say they were going to release theirs?
Last of Us Part 2 has moved their... Seriously? Has moved their release to...
June 19th.
Yep.
So they're going to give you a full month in between these games. I actually really like that. And we're just basically pushing them back a month. Instead of having May and June, you're having June and July. I don't necessarily think it's a huge issue.
No, neither.
You got the other big three right now. You've got May, so you'd be looking at The Last of Us 2 coming up real soon here, if it was all back to normal.
Yeah.
So instead now you can take your big three, get those cleaned up. I'm a big fan of not having multiple games going at once. When I have that, I tend to rush through them. I tend to, not enjoy them or, put as much effort into them as I'd like to.
Absolutely.
So you can clean up the games that you have. If you have a little bit of backlog, you've got another month to work on it. And then you're going to be ready to take on Last of Us Part 2 in June. That gives you a full month on that one. And then Ghost comes out in July. Usually that June-July period's a dead period. Or they'll throw in a game that maybe doesn't get quite the attention that maybe they think a game that's going to be less than super popular maybe. Usually they save that for Christmas. So right now it looks like you've got two really big games coming this summer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not seeing an issue here.
I'm not either.
And plus, it gives them another month to work on bugs.
It does, and as they said, that's what they're kind of working out right now.
Mm-hmm.
But, my thoughts on this are, I think it's a smart move for both companies. First of all, it's hopefully still going to give Last of Us Part 2 a chance to have a physical edition release.
Yep.
And also, Ghost of Tsushima is basically saying, okay, if we lock ourselves into this, June release date and things aren't back to where we need them to be, it could hurt the release in general. So they're saying, okay.
Well, and then they're competing if they stay there and Last of Us 2 pushes. And you got to look, too, like they're part of the PlayStation exclusive. Last of Us 2 is a PlayStation exclusive. So PlayStation and Sony are not going to want two big money exclusives being week to week like that. You separate out your exclusives so they each have time to breathe.
Yeah, I definitely think this is I think it's the right choice.
So I'm sure that there was some oversight from Sony coming down too, saying, "Hey, we're not gonna have these two games launch back to back, because all you're gonna do is get competing, people, and then people are like, well, two games, I'll pick one. If you put them a month apart, people are gonna be a lot more likely to pay full price for both.
Yeah.
Right. When you have a month to finish something up, then you're looking for the next thing. You'll buy it day one. If they both come out back to back, a week apart or 2 weeks apart, you might wait on one. Say, hey, I'm still finishing this other game up. By the time you get ready for the next one, it's already going to have to be discounted and on sale. So it's kind of an opportunity for them to get the $60 out of both games.
Yep.
So
yeah.
As somebody that was going to buy both these games anyway, I don't really have a problem with it. I do hope to get them. Now, I will say this, I hope this is the last shuffling, so to speak, of the release dates, because it's been like every week we're getting something new on when these games are going to come out. And I don't want to see them get pushed back a lot more than this. Otherwise, we start overtaking the fall. You've got Cyberpunk that's still got that mid-September, if I remember right, release date.
Yep, and potentially the Dying Light 2 if they release in fall or winter as well.
Okay, so
if we hear anything from them, but I haven't heard anything confirmed on that yet.
But,
so
Cyberpunk is pretty much going to take up the fall. So unless they're going to move their title, you don't want Ghost, you don't want this to get pushed back any further, else you're going to have these two games and Cyberpunk, and you're going to have just like a flooded September, October. And then, again, you get into that, here we go again. We already saw it in May with the Doom and Resident Evil 3 and Final Fantasy 7 being what I thought was pretty close together.
Yeah, all three of those games were like right at the...
It would have been nice.
What is it, end of March, early April, all three of those games.
It would have been nice to have one of those in February or even January. Like, if we could have got Resident Evil 3 in January like we did with Resident Evil 2, so we could have focused on it a little bit, and just had that on our plate. But I don't like to see that when you have the two or three big games within like a month span like that. So I think this is fine. Overall, when I look at the calendar and look at the different games that are coming out and kind of where they're placed, I don't want anything else on my plate, and I know that I'm kind of probably on board for both of these games as far as playing them. And I don't want more on my plate when freaking Cyberpunk comes out, because I need to be able to focus on each game to do it justice.
Yep.
So we'll kind of see what happens. I am fine with these release dates. I think it's good. I hope they stick with it now.
Yep, same here.
And go with it, and let's get them out. Let's get playing. So that's where I'm at with it. As far as The Last of Us 2 goes, we've kind of been seeing some different things going on there, and I just watched a video today that was kind of interesting on what they're doing with that. But from a release date standpoint, I think this is fine.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, that's what I thought from the very beginning. Because I'm thinking to myself, things are just too tight right now to, probably to release either of these games in May or early June. I just don't see it happening. And I like this, we're seeing a mid to late June release for The Last of Us, and we're seeing middle of July for Ghost. I mean, I think it's the right choice.
You never get anything in July, usually.
Yeah, so
you never get anything in July.
I'm kind of looking forward to that, and I do. I agree with you. I basically, just listening to you talk, and I'm like, yep, exactly what I was going to say. Yep. Basically think the same thing. It's the right move for safety, and to, like we talked about in our Will The Last of Us 2 have an all-digital release. If you want to have that physical release, you want to make sure things line up. You got your supply chain, you got your, everything is right, everything's where you want it to be. So, I'm on board with it. I like it. I don't think it's a total disaster.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't get pushed back further, this would be fine. Because you figure by September, you can have both of these games pretty well played up to where you need to have them by that time frame if you are going to day one them.
Yep.
You can pretty well be played and completed with them and ready to move on to the fall slate. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, remember, make sure you keep it locked here in the Balding Plebs. Subscribe and click that bell for notification, because we don't want you to ever miss a hot, steamy episode of porn.
You're welcome.